I'm Nathalie Applewhite, for those of you who don't know me. I'm the managing director of the Pulitzer Center. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. This is a really special celebration of our journey so far and an excited anticipation of the journey ahead. I've been with the Pulitzer Center since 2006, shortly after John started the organization. And it's incredibly difficult to believe how far we've come from that very first year in that very small office. It's been an honor to work with everyone along the way. So many talented journalists, media partners, and educators. We really wouldn't be here without all of you. So tonight, we celebrate you. So you should all applaud yourselves, if you're gonna applaud me. And it's just been incredibly touching in the lead up to this event, going back over all of the projects and what we've done in these past 10 years and seeing so many familiar faces, and then finally putting a face to a name, or maybe putting a real face to the little biopic we had on our website. So what a pleasure to meet those of you we hadn't met before. The Pulitzer Center is many things, as many of you know. We're a journalism organization, we're a funder, we're an event organizer, we're an educational institution, and we're a champion of our grantees, and the lucky recipient of funding from foundations who value our mission to bring underreported global stories to diverse audiences around the world. That has sometimes left people a little confused about what exactly we are. So, and how it all fits together. How is the education related to the journalism? How is the journalism related to the public events that we do? So last spring, in honor of our 10-year anniversary, we decided to create a little animation that tells our story.
Here is a young, ambitious journalist. She is eager to travel the world, to get up close and personal as she reports on issues that affect us all. She contacts editors to pitch her project. They're interested, but with no budget for international reporting, their hands are tied. Stuck and frustrated, the journalist gives up. When I was a young journalist, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch sent me to over 60 countries, covering stories just like this. Many news organizations had correspondents based abroad and bureaus across the globe. As the internet disrupted old business models, many of those stories went untold, and many of those news bureaus went dark. The issues hadn't gone away. They were more important than ever. But there were fewer journalists reporting in depth, and in the frantic quest for clicks and likes, more emphasis on the superficial and news of the passing moment. It was out of these troubling trends that the Pulitzer Center began, with the mission of raising money to support journalists in filling these gaps. Our approach has always been collaborative, connecting strong journalists and large outlets to reach the broadest audience, with an assurance to our grantees and partners of the independence that is crucial to responsible reporting. In our first year, we commissioned 9 projects. Now we support more than 100 a year, working with leading news organizations in print, broadcast, and online. Along the way, we have sought out opportunities for innovation as a leader in showcasing our journalism through film festivals, photo exhibits, ebooks, and more. Our biggest innovation was to make educational outreach part of our core mission. What began as a few presentations at schools and universities has grown and grown to nearly 500 events per year. Teachers benefit from the online curricular materials built to bring our journalism to even more schools. Some students do their own reporting, exploring the local impacts of global issues. Others win Pulitzer Center International Reporting Fellowships. All benefit from the deeper engagement with global issues that the immediacy of journalism makes possible. The Pulitzer Center model has evolved and expanded, but it still begins with a journalist, an issue, and a story. Support from the Pulitzer Center makes the field reporting possible. Its network of news media partners and educational institutions assures that the reporting has impact. And it's that demonstrated impact that persuades foundations and individuals to invest in us, making donations that allow us to support still more journalists. To us, this is a virtuous cycle, efficiently making use of skills and resources to produce the sort of journalism that is a public good for all. So when that young, ambitious reporter comes to an editor with a strong idea, it doesn't end in frustration. It ends with journalism, and with a better informed, more engaged public, one that is essential if our democracy is to thrive. So good evening. You've just heard the 3-minute version of our last 10 years. I want to thank you all for being here. This is a really splendid occasion for the Pulitzer Center. It's wonderful to be with so many people who have been part of the journey that has taken us here. I want to thank all of my colleagues on the Pulitzer Center staff, past and present, who have made the Pulitzer Center what it is. Can you all stand? All of the Pulitzer Center staff, current and past, stand up for this. I would also like to recognize all of the student fellows, 31 strong, who are here this weekend for our annual Washington weekend. For the past 2 days, they've been sharing the great work they've done from all over the world. Can you all stand as well, the 31 student fellows from this year? And stay standing, but can the former student fellows who are also with us tonight, anybody who has been a student fellow in the past, stand up as well. These are fantastic students from great universities and colleges all over the country who've been all over the world. And if you haven't seen it, I hope you go on the website and see their work. We're so glad that all of you could be with us tonight. Also here tonight is Boy Scout Nick Fay from Boston, the winner of our Out of Eden Walk essay contest at the Philmont Scout Ranch, where 34,000 campers this summer and past have been exposed to our work with our grantee Paul Salopek and National Geographic Fellow, who, as many of you know, is embarked on a walk around the earth and retracing the steps of human migration. Over about a 10-year period, he's about 3.5 years into this, and we've been supporting him on the education side all along. We had a contest, an essay contest this summer and spring with all of the campers coming to Philmont this summer. Nick won that contest, and it's a very unusual contest because the winner of that contest got to go out with Mark Schulte, our education director, fly to Bukhara, Uzbekistan, where Paul is currently walking about 20 or 30 kilometers a day, and they walk with him for 2 days. So Nick Fay, if you can stand, and Mark Schulte. Just back as of about a week ago from their time with Paul out in the field, and again, it's their posts are up on our site, and I hope you'll take a look. Instagram, the pictures are there. Congratulations to Nick, and we look forward to your own journeys to come. I'd like to thank all of our board members for the support and wise counsel that has guided our work, and also my family, and especially Kem, who have lived the Pulitzer experience every day for the past 10 years. That Our Story video is sort of the Cliff Notes version of our story, and Kem and our children have heard the whole story, and sometimes I think they think it's maybe Moby Dick or War and Peace. I want to thank you for your indulgence of my obsession, and also for your support and all that we've done together. And not least, I want to recognize the journalist grantees whose work is the heart and soul of the Pulitzer Center. Can every one of you stand? all of the journalist grantees, past and present. You know, you have brought us one incredible story after another. In many cases, stories that would otherwise have gone untold. You have taught us so much about how to harness the evolving tools of storytelling, how to engage the broadest possible public in these big global issues that affect us all. On the screen behind me, I think, we've got a scroll of tweets posted by grantees and staff members recalling favorite Pulitzer Center moments. You'll find more at hashtag Pulitzer Center 10, and you should post your own. It's been fun to remember the many experiences that we've had. From hiking the jungles in Myanmar with Kachin rebels to interviewing dissidents in rural China, to the time we won an Emmy. We've covered a lot of ground. We've shared a lot, been through a lot. This is sometimes difficult, dangerous work, as you all know, especially at a time when major media outlets are resource constrained and increasingly dependent on freelance journalists and local journalists. We have tried through our grants and through our conversations with grantees and news outlet partners to make sure that journalists going into hostile environments do so with the training they need and with a full awareness of the risk they might incur. One of the tweets on hashtag Pulitzer 10 came from our grantee, Michael Scott Moore. Obvious best moment, getting out of Somalia. Michael was held captive for 997 days. That's nearly a third of the Pulitzer Center's history. There wasn't a day during that period when Mike wasn't on our minds. There hasn't been a better day for us than the day he was released. We're going to share now a short video produced by Evie Wilson of our staff. Yes. It's called Facing Risk, and we hope that it will spark conversations at the tables tonight, at journalism schools, and in the newsrooms of the world.
If somebody had told me that it was over 2 years, I would have, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done, you know?
A truck full of about 15 armed men was waiting for us on the side of the road. And it pulled up to us and aimed a cannon through the windshield. These guys got off the truck, opened up my side of the door, and dragged me out. And then I was a hostage. I think I knew from the first minute that it was going to be a huge burden. The problem is that the people you talk to on the phone are not necessarily rational. So it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere.
I mean, even in 2-3 lifetimes, I wouldn't be able to reach demands or to meet demands of 20 million or more. How is this possible? How is this just humanly possible? Sometimes I think about the first week or so, and it's still kind of a blur because you wander around, you just go from room to room, and you just don't know how to deal with it.
I didn't know how to find Jim. I didn't know how to bring him home. I had no idea.
So I'm essentially a staff reporter at this, very well-known news organization. They couldn't do anything to get me out. The New York Times doesn't have $25 million in ransom. The New York Times can't release 15 prisoners from Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And the sad thing that's happened in the 7 years since I was abducted is that the demands have got even higher.
And within those first 48 hours, I received a call, our family received a call from the DOD. Would we approve a raid if they knew where David and his colleagues were? I was told, there might be a day when I receive a phone call where he's screaming in the background, or they might call me and be demanding, prisoners or money, and they may have already killed him. Every conversation we had was life and death, and trying to save somebody's life or trying to help in a dire situation.
Especially the longer it went on, I wondered whether I would ever see, some of the beautiful corners of California again. Whether I would see my family again. I mean, I began to doubt all that by the end.
The kidnappers, gave Kristen and my family and my editors the sense that they could easily save my life. So it creates this false sense in the family that they can save their loved one when in fact they can't. And it's not just a crime against an individual, it's a crime against the sort of whole family, against the whole friends, against the whole organization, against the whole profession as a journalist.
No story is worth your life. That's just a hard and fast rule. And almost no story is worth getting kidnapped for. In fact, I can't think of one that is.
As a mother of a journalist who lost his life doing this important work, I would ask any of you who love a journalist to insist on having a difficult discussion. Jim had been kidnapped twice, so I am particularly embarrassed about how much in denial I was about the danger Jim was going into. Why didn't I insist on it? That's how hard it is, though. We didn't want to think about the worst.
And now there's more kidnappings, and the lengths of kidnappings have gone, longer and longer and longer. Now it's years and years.
There were red lines that I set for myself, and a few of those I crossed. I went shopping for insurance, and when I got rejected shortly beforehand, I should have just called off the trip. That was one red line.
If you're going to go into a dangerous assignment, you need to have a conversation with your family. What will they do? What do you want them to do if you die? What do you want them to do if you're kidnapped? What do you want them to do if you're badly injured? How are they going to get you out of there? What if you're disabled?
I wish I had initiated the difficult discussion, or that Jim had left a folder with his passwords, with his last wishes, with his power of attorney. Because when Jim was kidnapped, we had none of it. We were not able to access his phone or his email. We didn't know what he wanted. We didn't know what insurance he had. It was appalling. We just had nothing.
There is no longer really a neutrality to the press, unfortunately, in particular if you're American. So you need to be aware that you will be vulnerable. You need to really vet the sources you're going to be working with on the ground.
And you also have to have that conversation with your editors. And many freelancers are afraid of bringing it up, but good editors are going to respect you and trust you because you bring up those awkward conversations.
They need your help in that regard, because the work you do is vitally important to our democracy, but it's very dangerous today in the world.
We're honored that Mike Moore and his mother Marla Saunders are with us tonight, back in the back. And so is Diane Foley. our board member David Rode and his wife Kristen Mulvihill. I want to thank you all for raising this issue, for sticking with it, for creating organizations like the James W. Foley Foundation, Hostage US, and ACOS, the Culture of Safety Alliance. You have made such a difference on government policies, newsroom standards, and attitudes among journalists themselves. The Pulitzer Center is determined to do whatever we can to support this cause. Facing Risk is on YouTube as well as on our site. It can be embedded anywhere, and is also the subject of lesson plans that we have posted to our online lesson builder tool. We plan on taking this issue out to our schools and universities, and we hope you will too, because it's really important. So I want to thank you all again for being here tonight, for the work you do and for the support you've given us in our work too. More on that later, but for now, enjoy your dinners and the excellent company that we're all in. Thank you.